So that Invincible live action movie, it's not a good idea. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with the show Invincible because it blew up a few years ago when Prime decided to adapt the comics written by Robert Kirkman. Now, of course, it has been met with very positive reviews, being one of the best superhero adaptations of the 21st century, and people even go as far as to say that Invincible is one of the best modern superheroes of all time. And because of this, of course, rumors started speculating about potentially there being a Invincible movie, which would see the character Mark Grayson come to the live action big screen. And I mean, superhero movies are the rave. They make a lot of money, especially in recent years. You think of Avengers Endgame, you think of Spider-Man No Way Home, you think of Deadpool and Wolverine as an R-rated example, which I'm sure Invincible would be. Invincible could make a lot of money, but there are a few issues with a live action adaptation. Why would Invincible not work as a film? Let's get straight into this. The first main reason that I believe an Invincible movie wouldn't work is that you would have to tackle the origin story. Obviously, if you're going to introduce Invincible to a bigger mainstream audience, i.e. casuals that go to the cinema and watch films, like, not everyone is going to know who Invincible is. My fiance has no idea who Mark Grayson is, but pretty much everyone in the comic book community and everyone who kind of watches cartoons, anime maybe, superhero cartoons, know about Invincible. But the casuals that only go to watch the movies, they have no idea who Invincible is. So you need to introduce this character with his origin story so casuals know what this character is about, they know where he comes from, they understand the character and who exactly he is. Well, you may be asking, what is the issue with telling the origin story? Well, the big issue with telling the origin story of Invincible is that it's really, really long. To sort of tackle the main themes properly, to tackle the character properly, everything that goes on in between the ending of Season 1 and the start of Season 1 of Invincible, which is pretty much the whole origin story, you're going to need at least 8 hours, as the TV show demonstrated. You cannot do that in a movie. Now, maybe this leads us onto a wider problem of why TV shows are better for multi-character narratives, and that's a whole other debate that we can have on a separate occasion. But for the sake of this video, that would obviously not work in a movie. And certain people would argue, especially die-hard Invincible fans who have read every single Invincible comic, have watched the show a million times, will tell you that pretty much everything in that Season 1, bar maybe a few filler episodes, are really important to the origin story and the character of Mark Grayson. Like, you cannot skip out on Atom Eve, you can't skip out on Amber, you can't skip out on Omni-Man, who is a crucial part to the existence and the origin story of Invincible. You can't skip out on Debbie, you then can't skip out on Cecil, you can't skip out on any of these characters because they're all so important and integral to the story. And if you end up trying to make a movie about Invincible, a lot of these characters are either going to be pushed to the sidelines or are going to be so reduced to one-dimensional throwaway characters that it's going to be a disservice not only to the adaptation of the TV show, but also the comics that they came from as well. The second main issue that you're going to have if you're trying to make an Invincible movie is a little bit complex, so stay with me. First, what I'm going to say is fans hate change. You might be wondering, why am I saying that? What has that statement got anything to do with an Invincible movie? Well, let me tell you. Yeah, fans hate change. Fans hate when you do something differently. Just look at MCU Spider-Man, for example. MCU Spider-Man is probably the most left-field Spider-Man adaptation we've ever gotten, and a certain group of fans really, really hate it. Now, why does this apply to Invincible? Well, we have to remember, the TV show that has made a lot of fans, Invincible fans, has literally copied the comic book one for one. I mean, not exactly one for one. A few things are different, but generally, thematically, character-wise, a lot of things are exactly the same. They follow the same story beats, they follow the same characters, they follow the same relationships. A lot of things are very, very similar. And you're telling me if they were to make an Invincible movie, for a third time, they'd retell the same story with the same characters? Yeah. No, they're not going to do that. That's just lazy, and to the fans that became fans because of the TV show would just feel really, really let down, like myself. Not to mention, I can't imagine how fans would feel if you read the comic book when it first came out. Like, you guys must be gagging for something new. But either way, that leads me on to my point. Fans hate change. It's one thing copying everything for a third time over, but then if they decide to do something different, maybe change the origin story slightly, maybe slightly tweak it, and then maybe, I don't know, change Omni-Man, or change something about his origin to maybe accommodate for the fact that it's a movie, fans are gonna hate it. They're gonna say it's not comic accurate. They're gonna say, this isn't Invincible. This isn't what Invincible is. He hasn't been represented properly, just as they've done with MCU Spider-Man. It's a lose-lose situation. You can either try and do the origin one for one and maybe disrespect some of the characters, reduce some of the very crucial characters we saw in Season 1 to just one-dimensional sidelined cameos, or you could tweak the origin story, remove some of the crucial characters to Mark Grayson's origin, and then you've got fans shouting down your throat saying, this is not Invincible, this is not what the character is, this is not what the story should be. It's a lose-lose situation. This is why I think an Invincible movie is just a bad idea. Unless you're making the movie about a time in Invincible's life that potentially hasn't been adapted in the show, or maybe it's something a little bit different, but then again, you're doing this for the mainstream audiences who have never seen this character. You can't stray too far away from the origin story, or else people aren't really going to understand who he is, where he came from, why this world is the way that it is. You see the predicament they're in with Invincible? So yeah, that's why I think Invincible wouldn't really work as a movie. Obviously, for those of you who are diehard Invincible fans, and I'm sure there are some of you, let me know in the comment section down below if you do believe there is a way that they could make this work, because I have no idea how they could make this work. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more comic book videos. Here's some more videos on the screen right now that you can watch if you enjoyed this one. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.